Hi everyone, I'm Ruth Ann Norden,
I'm Janice Tyus-Nitzik.
and today we are going to talk about writing a compelling story. And just want everyone to think back. It can be your favorite movie, favorite book. Think about what is the thing that makes it your favorite. I'm going to guess it's not the way something is worded.
No.
Not the way the book was worded, not the way the author never used passive voice anywhere, always active voice. And I'm also going to guess that this is something you don't remember like the other details that critique groups would look at.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like, did they use the to be verb or not? Stuff like that. I'm guessing those things aren't going to be the first thing you're going to think about. I'm guessing the first thing is the emotion.
Motion and the action. Motion and then
Well,
action.
but can action lead to
right.
emotion?
You sure can.
Because if you're thinking about like a thriller, someone's running or something, or suspense, usually that's kind of an emotion that's still kind of
sure.
active. I think a compelling story, and we're talking about fiction, deep down, the basis is, does it take you to an emotional high?
Exactly.
On some level.
Mm-hmm.
So think about what are the emotions of your favorite, like whether movie or book, anything that just stirs you up.
That's true. And then I was watching The Quiet Man, which is one of my favorite with John Wayne and Marina Hare. And I actually sat down and actually watched it about a month ago, trying to figure out why do I like this movie.
And so that's a good tip. Like while you're doing that, mark down what it is. Mm-hmm. What's really going at you, because when readers, they're looking for some kind of emotion, depending on the genre they pick. So if you're picking something with thriller, you want to be on the edge of your seat.
Right, exactly.
So is that in there? That emotion and stuff. And with romance, falling in love.
Right. And I also like the fact that John Wayne's a strong masculine character there.
So it could be character type. What kind of characters are you attracted to?
And then she was kind of get on his nerves. She get on his nerves a little bit, but yet they were very compatible from the very beginning. But
so it could be the way the characters interact.
Yeah,
but that still all boils down to emotion, doesn't it?
It boils down to emotion, and just the fact that they're in this scene and it's raining and they're just, in some of the visual effects that you have on the movie part, but you can put that in your book too. Like if it's raining and things like that.
Because what movies can do that books cannot is give a visual picture that leads to an emotion. So you can't really, but I guess you can enhance your setting, but don't have your setting overpower.
Right, exactly.
What's going on with the characters, but have it kind of help it.
Right, exactly. It can be in the background.
Yeah.
It's kind of that, but you want to have the main characters. Okay, how is that person reacting to that kiss or whatever? That is the main thing. But you can have that in a rainstorm or stuff like that in the background there.
And this is an example off the top of my head as she was saying that, is let's say, you're writing a romance, and let's say the heroine slips because the ground is wet and she falls into the hero's arms.
Yes.
And he's tender, and they have that moment where they're looking at each other, and that can lead to an emotion, but you've used your setting in the background to kind of lead into that.
Exactly. And maybe that was their first kiss.
That could be. Or maybe they thought about kissing, but they weren't right for each other, so they held off. So there's a little tension. You can always use that for some, so I would say use your setting. Don't use your setting as like, oh, look how historic, I've done all this research, and this is so historically accurate, so I'm just going to set all this in. Somehow, some way, your research, has to come in with helping the development, I think, of the emotional.
It can't be overdone.
Journey.
It has. The main thing is like we started out with, emotion. Main thing is the emotion. You can have that in the background, but you don't want it to detract from the fact that those are two people that are to fall in love.
And the characters are always having to be center stage. Now, I guess real quick, I'll just switch over to nonfiction, because from time to time we get nonfiction people looking at these videos, and I would say the best thing you can do in nonfiction is you find a problem and you solve it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you can do those two things, I think that would make for compelling nonfiction. Do you have any examples of compelling nonfiction? Because I'm not really.
Well, I suppose if you're doing a personal account, a lot of times those are really good for fiction. For nonfiction. Because sometimes in a column you can do those kind of things.
I'm talking about more like.
But
there's a problem here, and we're gonna. Maybe like something on how to teach someone how to make a door. Like, you know, or like put up a new wall. So you tear down the old one, put up the new one.
That's that. It's something satisfaction related.
As long as it solves the problem, I think.
Right.
You're okay.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think that's, yeah.
And I think that when you're writing, just a final note, this is for fiction, is when you're thinking about those elements that you love in your favorite story or your favorite movie, think about how as your writer, you can kind of dip into those. Because obviously you have a, what do they call it? You kind of gear towards that.
Okay.
A leaning towards it, a preference for it. So if you can take the things you already have a preference for and put it into your books, I think that you'll be more passionate about what you're writing.
And a lot of times if you're writing, you'll smile along with the characters if there's a humorous part. So if you're smiling,
if you're laughing,
and and it's kind of making your heart pump,
and if you're crying,
then you know that if you're doing that, you got to believe that your reader will too.
Right, exactly.